Hey everyone. Have you ever wondered what happens when a hero from the past is thrust into our modern world? Not just any hero, but a legend who was thought to be lost forever? This is the extraordinary journey of Captain Peggy Carter from Earth 76. Peggy Carter was a beacon of hope during humanity's darkest hour. A brilliant strategist, a fearless soldier, and ultimately the recipient of the super soldier serum that transformed her into Captain Carter. But her story didn't end with the war. No, it was just beginning. Years after her presumed death, Captain Carter was found, still alive, frozen in ice since the final days of World War II. The American, British, and Russian governments immediately scrambled to claim her as their own, arguing over salvage rights and ownership of the serum's results as if she were property, not a person. But Peggy Carter has never been anyone's pawn. When the debate became too much, she simply ended it by punching through the negotiation table. Learning she was still a British national, Captain Carter made the decision to return home to London. A simple choice, you might think. Yet nothing would be simple for a woman out of time, carrying the weight of a shield and a legacy too heavy for most to bear. Picture this: the streets of London, bustling with modern life, technology everywhere, politics transformed, and walking among it all, a woman who last saw these streets when they were being bombed. 2 months after her return, Carter meets with Prime Minister Harry Williams. But this isn't just a courtesy call. The government has plans for their long-lost hero. Therefore, Carter finds herself recruited into Strike, Britain's answer to SHIELD, and paired with her new liaison, Lizzie Braddock. Imagine visiting the graves of everyone you've ever loved, everyone you fought to protect, everyone who thought you died a hero decades ago. This is Peggy's reality, a quiet moment of mourning shattered when HYDRA operatives ambush her on a public bus. These aren't just any attackers. HYDRA, the very organization she thought defeated, has resurfaced, and they're targeting civilians. What would you do? For Peggy, there's no choice at all. She exposes her identity publicly to protect innocent lives. One of the HYDRA agents takes a cyanide pill before she can question him. Some traditions never change. Therefore, by the next morning, the entire world knows Captain Carter has returned. Overnight, Peggy becomes more than a soldier. She's a celebrity. As Captain Carter adjusts to her newfound fame, Strike leverages her popularity for their own agenda. Prime Minister Williams makes no secret of his desire for Britain to have its own superhero, complaining that nearly all the current ones are American. He sees Peggy as a symbol of Britain's return to global significance. But something doesn't feel right. The organization that claims to be her ally seems to have hidden motives. Lizzie Braddock receives veiled threats about her family's safety. Peggy's instincts, the same ones that kept her alive through a world war, are screaming warnings. And then came the whispers. HYDRA wasn't just back, they had never truly left. Their influence ran deeper than anyone had imagined. And as Peggy investigated, she realized something chilling. Strike wasn't telling her everything. The deeper Peggy dug, the more the walls closed in. Her allies at Strike started keeping secrets. Missions didn't add up. Then came the bombshell. The same government that welcomed her home was hiding something dark. HYDRA's resurgence wasn't just a random threat. It was connected to the highest levels of British power. And Peggy? She was a pawn in their game. Trust is a luxury Captain Carter cannot afford. This becomes painfully clear when Strike, the very organization meant to support her, reveals its true colors. The Prime Minister arranges an ambush, and the betrayal cuts deep, leaving Peggy isolated in a world that already feels alien to her. But just when all seems lost, an unexpected ally emerges: Tony Stark. Not Howard's son, but his grandson. Brilliant, charismatic, unpredictable. And in this universe, something more: a cyborg with a synthetic body built around his original brain and spine. Their partnership crackles with tension and possibility. Peggy's old-school sense of duty collides with Tony's irreverent genius. As the layers of conspiracy peel away, a chilling truth emerges. Prime Minister Harry Williams is not who he claims to be. The man leading Britain is actually John Falsworth, the vampire known in other universes as Baron Blood. But the evidence is undeniable, and the stakes have never been higher. A vampire at the head of government, HYDRA resurgent in the shadows, and strike compromised from within. With enemies closing in from all sides, Captain Carter must become Agent Carter once more. Before the shield, before the serum, Peggy was one of Britain's finest spies. Those skills, dormant but not forgotten, become her greatest weapon. Everything comes to a head as Peggy's enemies launch their final assault, not just with weapons but with words, painting her as a dangerous relic, unfit for modern times. The media turns against her. Public opinion wavers. Determined to stop him, she went after him alone. But she underestimated his power. The battle was short and ended with Peggy captured and imprisoned. Now it was down to Lizzie Braddock, Tony Stark, and Harley to launch a rescue attempt. But first, they needed help. Agent Hunter had been in the dark about the true nature of Britain's leadership. That had to change. Tony and Lizzie filled him in, exposing the vampire conspiracy hiding in plain sight. With Hunter's assistance, they formed a plan. The mission was dangerous. Infiltrating Baron Blood's stronghold meant facing both HYDRA and the supernatural. And to make matters worse, the Prime Minister's vampire sister was never far behind. Freed from captivity, Peggy rejoined the battle. She thought that John was planning to turn the region into a vampire nation, using HYDRA to spread the vampire plague while setting the stage for a global takeover. However, when Captain Carter confronted John in battle, he confessed that there was no HYDRA. It was all a facade he appropriated after Hitler failed to use the group to put his master race into place. The immortal admitted he just needed a distraction, so the world would be focused on fighting an invisible army instead of him. But Peggy had an ace up her sleeve. While John Falsworth monologued about his grand plan, she revealed a hidden camera broadcasting his confession to the world. Thanks to Harley, the entire world saw the truth. The Prime Minister was a vampire who had been orchestrating the crisis from the start. With his secret exposed, Falsworth's power crumbled. And in that moment of weakness, Captain Carter struck the final blow. Lizzie ripped the amulet from his neck, the source of his protection from the sun. With nowhere to run, Baron Blood was exposed to daylight, his body igniting in flames. In seconds, the ancient vampire was nothing more than ash. Speaking of Captain Carter's leadership, Marvel Snap captured her essence perfectly with her card ability. In the game, she's a card with the ongoing ability. Add this card's power to your back row cards here. This brilliantly reflects who Captain Carter is at her core. She positions herself at the front lines, exactly where the danger is greatest, while empowering those behind her. Just like in the comics, she leads from the front, drawing fire and attention while making everyone around her stronger. Think about it. In both the game and comics, Peggy doesn't hide behind others. She's the shield that protects, the first one into battle, placing herself between danger and those she's sworn to defend. Yet her presence alone strengthens her allies, just as her inspiration and leadership bolstered strike agents and even cynics like Tony Stark. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Who do you want me to cover next? Let me know in the comments. Until next time.